This video has literally everything. Monitor repair, cabinet repair, board repair, and a whole lot more. And I know it's late. I was trying to cram way too much into a single episode. I got way behind on schedule, and I'm sorry. I'm only human. I'm sorry. But hopefully you enjoy it, and hopefully it's worth the wait. So everybody's always telling me the same thing. Viewers, channel members, even my wife, they say, Charlie, you got way too many projects out in the garage and you need to get rid of some of them. And you know what? I'm finally willing to admit it, they're right. So in this episode, we're gonna get rid of 5 games out in the garage. We're gonna get rid of these things, but don't worry, I'm not getting out of the hobby. I'm not going crazy, nothing like that. These are all games that are meant to go to Back to the Media Arcade, opening up soon in Winchester, Virginia. I've been talking about this for a while. But so we're gonna be getting rid of the Primal Rage, the Superman, the Sly Spy, the Class of '81 combination, Ms. Pac-Man and Galaga, and even the Neo Geo 1 slot in the Bally Sente cabinet. That last one's only going away for a little bit. We'll eventually be getting them back. But the rest of them, they're getting out of here. We're never gonna see them again. But before we're ready to do that, there's a bunch of little things that we need to do to really kind of tie off these projects and get everything good to go out on public, in a public location where everyone in the world can play it. So that's what we're going to do in this episode. So if that sounds like fun, why don't we head out to the garage and get started? Let's go!
Overtime!
Okay, the first item on the punch list for the Primal Rage, and pay no attention to any undisclosed pickups that I've made lately that you might be able to see in the background. The first item on the punch list for the Primal Rage is a new flyback. So if you remember, I got this game, it was working, the monitor was working, but needed a little bit of TLC. Did a cap kit, got it dialed in, tuned in, and it was working, but if you've noticed on a couple of live streams, podcasts, whatever, the monitor's been losing focus. So, you know, during these live streams, I've often got the game running for a couple of hours, right? And after about an hour or so, this monitor starts losing focus. And that's an issue. Oh, where is that? Anode cup. That's an issue that is sort of notorious for this monitor. So this is a Neotech 2515C, 25-inch monitor, you know, sort of from the mid-90s. And Mike from Mike's Amateur Arcade Monitor Repair kind of warned me about this. He left a comment and he said, you know, these, you know, nice work rebuilding a monitor, but these flybacks tend to lose focus. That's sort of a failure mode for them. So, and yeah, that's what I've discovered here. So I've got a reproduction flyback from Peter, arcadepartsandrepair.com, and we're going to replace it. So let's go in here and discharge the monitor. All right, popped right off. There we go. And you can even see my sticker here says I repaired this in May 2024. So yeah, you know, and I didn't replace the flyback when I first got into this. So now I know. So let's see, what connections do we need to remove? Let's do the neck board here. You've probably seen me do this before. Come on. There we go. And I'm trying to remember how to remove this this chassis. Let's see, there's this goes there. All of this comes over where? Does that plug into the board? Okay. I'll take the remote board wires off here. Okay, that's good. What else needs to be disconnected? The yoke wires, of course. That's right here. Okay. Get all this out of the way. Of course, I discharged the tube first before doing any of this. Here is the gauze circuit. Okay, and this is the DAG wire, goes to the neck board. Okay, we might be free and clear. I'm trying to remember now, how does the chassis itself come out? Is it these two screws right here? This whole tray is removed. Let's see. Maybe. This is not a monitor that I'm super familiar with. This is the only Neotech that I've ever worked on at all. We were just talking about monitors on the members only Discord server. I think my top 5 in no particular order are K7000, K4900, K4600, although I've never technically rebuilt one of those yet, Geo7, and 20EZ. So can I come down like this? I feel like I've run into this exact sort of issue before of how to get things removed. There we go. All right, free and clear. We'll get this onto the workbench and desolder this old flyback out and put a new one in. Okay, you've seen me install new flybacks, multiple times before, and I don't like doing repetitive videos, but every time I skip something, people give me grief and say I'm skipping part of the process. So we're going to go ahead and do this together. Essentially, we need to desolder the flyback unit itself, and we need to disconnect it from both the socket and the neck board. So let me get this shield, this cardboard sort of cover off the back. I do try to reuse, this is dumb, right? I do try to reuse the original zip ties if I can, although this one doesn't look like it's going to let me, so I'll just cut it off and we'll replace it with a new zip tie when we're done. There we go. Okay, and I think these are my new zip ties anyway. Yeah, okay. So that doesn't really matter. So yeah, we got this red skinny wire going to the neck board. Hopefully you can see that. And we've got this fatter focus wire going to the socket. So I'm going to put a little flux on. And I know lately I've been using this technique of not using my desoldering tool and just kind of using my soldering iron to heat the solder and then pushing it through, which has been great for cap kits and stuff to do it really fast. But with this kind of stuff, it's better to use the desoldering tool, I think. All right. I think that looks okay. Hopefully it's almost loose. Some glob of solder here. There we go. Now we're out. Okay. And we've got to open up the socket to get it in there. And usually there's a little tab you can kind of pry open. You want to be gentle with all this stuff though. All right, there we go. And this kind of is a hinge, so pry it off. And it doesn't come off like a lot of them do. It's just a hinge that sort of pulls off. And get these wires out of the way. And I've got to desolder the focus wire connection here. There's a little tab that it goes on to, and I might actually, in this case, just pull it. If I can do it with one hand. Let's see, yeah, maybe like that. I'll just heat up the solder and pull this wire out. Usually it's looped in, but this time it's not. Okay. And then I do need to clean out this little loop thing. Without melting all the plastic that's around. There we go. Now we got an open loop so we can put our new wire in. And this is all tied up with a zip tie or a twist tie, like from a trash bag or sandwich bag. And this is all looped through like that. And I think the skinnier wire that goes to the neck board is technically the screen. I gotta remember where did it go. Went right here next to R495. It's not marked, so. Okay, so we're all disconnected there. And I'm gonna find a good angle to prop this up and desolder the flyback itself. There we go, that's in frame. Get some light in here. And we've got 10 pins of the flyback itself, and then these two like stabilizer pins, I guess, and it looks like there's a a jumper wire like hiding underneath. So we put some flux on each of these pins with my flux pen. We were talking recently on the Overtime Arcade private members only Discord about flux, and I linked to this pen. You know, every tool that I use for the most part, you're going to find in the video description of each video. So, all right, and buying it through those links, which are usually affiliate links, it's a great way to support the channel too. And thanks to you to everyone that does that. I make about $10 a month from those affiliate links, which again goes right back into the channel and all these projects. Oh, this one doesn't want to melt. Huh. Oh, it's because this is a big old tab. Yeah. I see what's going on there. Same thing with this one. It's not a pin, it's a tab. So I think those other ones are mostly free. And let me see if I can use my vampire solder sucker to really clean out this joint. And this is not where I'm normally working, but it's too hot in the garage and my wife's not home, so I feel like I'm going to work in the house. Okay, I think we're pretty good here with the solder. And the last bit that's probably holding this all in, hopefully, is just this one screw here. So if I can find my screwdriver, I'll just use this one because it's handy. Hopefully it isn't too tight. There we go. And this screw just kind of holds the flyback to this middle part of the frame. Come on. There we go. And hopefully it should just come right out. There we go. It did. That's good. So here's our old flyback, which again is technically working, but it doesn't hold focus long enough. So we'll put this off to the side and we will replace it with this brand new Neotech flyback, which is an MR CFT-216. And this is from Peter, arcadepartsandrepair.com. Here we go. Again, you've seen me do this multiple times. Not this particular monitor, you know, Neotech NT2515C, but flybacks, generally speaking, all go in the same. There's a little bit of foam just down there. Typically, what you need to do is sort of line everything up and pin it in. I have no idea what's going on with these metal pins right there. That is utterly bizarre to me. Let me actually text a picture of this to Peter and see what he thinks, if I should cut these or if they should go somewhere or what. But yeah, let me do that real quick. Actually, I took a closer look and there's no need for me to reach out to Peter. So here's the original and here's the replacement. You can see the normal sort of flyback pins. And these wires that are bent over are really those anchor tabs, which might actually also serve as, for ground purposes. So I'm gonna have to bend them straight, fish them through. I'll probably have to bend some of these pins a little bit, which is very typical when installing a flyback, just sort of gets it kind of all lined in and ready to go. This also has some plastic tabs, which may or may not fit. I might have to cut them off. So yeah, let me get this all lined up. We'll install it, and then I'll come back and we'll solder it together. One other kind of thing to note is this ferrite core on the old one feels a little bit loose. It's nice and snug with the new one, which is great. I see some corrosion on the metal pin that kind of holds this together. So I don't know if this was in a damp environment or maybe some moisture got underneath it, whatever. And we have the wires coming out from underneath, for the screen and focus wires. And the colors are reversed, which is not unusual. Usually the screen wire that goes to the neck board is much thinner, and the focus wire that goes to the socket is thicker, so we'll sort of follow that and sort of see where they go. So we'll just remember that the colors are inverted. So yeah, let me get these pins all lined up, and then we can go ahead and solder this thing in together. Okay, that's cool. I don't think I've ever had a flyback go in without having to bend any of the pins at all. I only needed to bend these two anchor pins or grounding pins or whatever they are. The rest of them just really kind of easily slipped right in. So I've got it propped up on my little screwdriver box underneath. So I think we can just go in and start soldering this, this new flyback in place. So I did have to cut the little two plastic tabs off of the bottom, but that's fine because there's no plastic tab, holes for it in the chassis PCB. Maybe there is for other types of Neotech flybacks, because I think this works on a few different models. So yeah, let's go ahead and solder this in. Okay, that went in pretty good. Having it on its side made some of the solder flow and not kind of fill out the pad. So I put the chassis on its back, and now we're good. They all look good. All the solder joints look good. But again, we never trust our eyes. We trust our multimeter. So I'm going to check all these joints. Good continuity there and there. Oh, it goes here. Okay. That goes here. This doesn't go anywhere. Okay. That goes there. Okay. All right, I think we're good. So I'm going to clean the flux up with a little bit of isopropyl, and I'll trim the excess legs here of these big old boys. All right, I need to go find the toothbrush. I'll do that in a second. And then over here, we need to kind of fish these wires through, make sure they're not all tangled. All right. Oh, look at that. The anode, the rabbit ears prongs from the anode cup went through the rubber, but I think that'll be okay. It was like punched through. That's not a big deal though, I don't think. So, got our wires here. And again, the thin one goes to the neck board right there. And the thick one goes to the socket. So we'll put this through right like this. And it's probably longer than it needs to be, but that's fine. Solder that in place real quick. Okay. And just because I have OCD when it comes to this sort of thing, I'll check that solder joint for continuity. There's not really a good place to check it though. That's good. Got fuzz all over the multimeter probes. So I'll get a new zip tie and we'll reconnect that. But we need to solder in our focus wire. So prop that up here. It's a good way for it to go. Yeah, like this. And it comes in from the side. So where's all this fuzz coming from? I'm going to make a little loop in the tip of this wire. So we can hook it into the hook really well. And it's going to come in like this. So I'm trying to do this so you can see it, so I can see it. Maybe like that. It doesn't want to go in. All right, and I'll even pinch it together a little bit just to hold this in place, you know, while I'm soldering. Okay, that's probably, oh, you know, propping these things up is just such a, oh my goodness. All right, that's probably fine. And we'll come in here and just solder that in real quick. All right. That should be good. So let's untangle all of this. We will close our cover. All right, that looks good. All right, I think we are good for reassembly. So I'm going to re-snake all these wires out. I'll clean up the flux, and then we'll stick the chassis back into the monitor and test it, and hopefully everything's good. Okay, we're back out here in the garage where it is way too hot, and we're all plugged back in, ready to go, ready to test. Again, this is my Neotech NT2515C, I think is this monitor. Plugged back into my Primal Rage with a new flyback, and we're all plugged back in, yoke wire, anode, remote board, power, DAG, DeGauss, everything. I have my multimeter plugged in, ready to check and set the B+ voltage, which is always something you want to do after replacing the flyback. I've got my CraftyMech test pattern generator, the TPG, plugged in to provide the crosshatch pattern, which is what the instructions call for when you're testing and setting the B+ voltage. So I'm trying to think. I think we're ready to go. So let me go ahead and plug this in, plug the power into the extension cord, and hopefully nothing pops. Let me turn the B+ or the the multimeter on. We'll turn the test pattern generator on, and here we go. Turning on the cabinet itself. 3, 2, 1. I heard a little popping. It's supposed to be around 125. And I don't know if the sync is not hooked up or what. Let me show you what I'm seeing on the screen here. Let's get off this new tripod, which doesn't have a quick disconnect mount. I've had an issue like this before. I don't know, is the sync off or something like that? Let me mess with this a little bit and see if I can get an image to come up. Okay, I got it all figured out. Couple quick adjustments to the settings on the TPG, and messing with the horizontal and vertical hold pots, and we are good to go. It also came right up at dead on 125 volts on the B+. It's 124.9 right now, so I'm not going to mess with that. That's good. And I don't want to mess with the geometry. Sorry for bumping the camera. I know the crosshatch is moved over to the left a little bit. I don't want to mess with that because I've got it set for the game PCB. So I think we're good. I've got it dialed in, I think, to the correct brightness and focus. So I'm going to turn off the cabinet. I'm going to turn off the TPG. I'm going to disconnect the TPG signal cables. Kind of a pain to reach in there. Okay, and now I'm going to plug back in, plug the game back in. I can even see what I'm doing here. Okay, the game video signal cable is plugged back in, so let's power this back up. 3, 2, 1. And hopefully we get a good image on the screen. And yeah, I like it. I like it. I think we're good and focused here. So yeah, let's see. Put my head in the way. Yeah, I think we're centered. So that's good. So I'm going to let this run for a good hour or so. Actually, let me turn it off real quick so that I can disconnect the B+, the multimeter from the B+ test points. Cool. And let's turn it back on. So yeah, I'm going to let this run for a good hour or so, just to make sure we're not losing focus. But so far, this looks like a successful installation of a brand new flyback. The screen is nice and bright, no interference. Looks like it's in good focus. So like I said, I'm going to let this run for a good hour or so, and yeah, we'll see if we are doing okay. In the meantime, I want to turn my attention to the Neo Geo 1 slot. So again, this cabinet over here was originally a Bally Sente SAC 1B, and ultimately I'm going to restore this to a chicken shift, which is probably my favorite Bally Sente game. But in the meantime, it's got a working 1-slot Neo Geo setup, and I'm going to let Mark borrow this cabinet. So a couple things I wanted to do to this thing. It has a working monitor, but it was having some issues sometimes where it would lose green and red and only have the color blue. And there's a couple of things that can cause missing colors on a monitor. Some easier to fix, some harder. But I noticed that when I wiggled the video signal cable, that often the green and red would come back, right? So to me, that was a sign that we've got a cold solder joint or two on the video signal header pins, right, on the chassis itself. So I took the chassis out. I gave it a cap kit because it had never had one before. Reflowed all those header pins, plugged everything back in, and I lost that footage. I filmed the whole thing. I'm 99% sure I filmed the whole thing. This is a 3-pot 4900 K40 Wells Gunner K4900, one of my personal favorite monitors to work on. But I did film the whole thing and pointed out, there's a couple different variations of 4900. I pointed out the little differences, and I lost that footage, which I've never done before on this channel, I don't think. And the reason is I set up a whole new computer dedicated for video editing and live streaming and that sort of stuff. And in the process of transitioning, all of the data off of my old laptop, off of my phone where I do all my recording, and onto and off of my external hard drive, I must have deleted that footage. So I'm really sorry about that. The only thing we have left to do with this monitor rebuild is put on the sticker to tell everyone that this chassis was recapped by me in June of 2024, and it is now July, but it is what it is. So that's on there to memorialize it. So everything is working well with the monitor. The next thing that I want to do to this thing is actually a board modification. So let me bring you down here to close to ground level to see what's going on in front of the cabinet. There's a couple things we want to do right here. One thing, we're going to get to repairing this damaged kick plate in a second, but in the meantime, we're going to open up this whole thing and take a look at what's going on with that one slot Neo Geo board. Now this thing is working, but they often have a bit of an issue. And let me reposition this tripod. There we go. All right, so like I said, this Neo Geo MVS one slot board is working just fine, but like many boards from this era, they have batteries that'll leak. And the battery on this one is this blue canister looking thing right here. And I don't think it's leaking just yet, but we're going to do a modification to replace that with a little lithium coin cell battery. So need to remove this board from the cabinet. So we'll take the harness off, if it'll come nicely. Here we go. There is another little connector over here. There we go. I think that's the sound. And let me kind of reach in here awkwardly and unscrew this thing. All right, we are free and clear now. So let me go get this on the workbench and we'll do that mod. Again, there's the battery right there. I don't see any signs of leakage, but this is a little preventative maintenance that, especially if this is gonna go on location, I wanna do that because this thing is gonna be running, all day, every day. So let's move it over to the workbench. Okay, here we are over on the workbench, and we'll take the game out, which is probably unnecessary, but makes me feel better. It's nights like these when it's so hot in the garage. I wish my garage was air conditioned, which would be really expensive to do. When I'm working by myself, I have this huge industrial fan blowing right against me, but it's too loud when the camera is rolling. So here's our battery right there that we're going to try to remove. Maybe I can stand it up like this. Yeah, okay. We have this like protective, I don't know what you'd even call this, like foam padded cardboard nonsense going on here that I'm going to try to peel back without damaging anything. Let me lay this down maybe. Oh man, and the whole thing wants to like come apart, which I don't want it to do. All right, there we go. Bend that back a little bit. We'll figure out exactly where that battery is. All right, I see it there and there. Is that really? Yeah, it's kind of in there. Let me dig out this foam a little bit to get better access to those solder joints. Okay, I've got this relatively well cleaned off. The rest will have to burn off with soldering iron, so that might smell pretty bad, but should be okay. So I'm putting some flux on just because I want to clean this really well. I'm going to put some fresh solder onto these joints. There we go. Okay. And I'm just going to come in with my Vampire solder sucker, which I've been using more than my expensive Hacko desoldering tool lately. Just because that's a pain to clean. I mean, it's good for, we did on it with the flyback, but when I don't need it, I don't want to use it. So we'll get that there. All right. A bit more. We're getting there. Let's see. Don't want to break this thing. I think I'm actually going to cut these legs real quick so I don't have patience for this. Oh, and I see what's going on. I didn't have to do that. There is some hot glue holding this battery in place, which I should have known. Just peeling the hot glue off. There we go. Okay, there's our battery right there. Let's look at the other side. And oh yeah, look at that. We're just starting to get some corrosion there. So it's a good thing. I did that. Look, I'm sweating. Oh my gosh. It's a good thing we're doing this because, you know, that leak really could have started to do some damage. Let me get the rest of this hot glue off real quick. All right, maybe that's a little bit better of an angle where the gimbal won't keep falling on me. I'm just going to clean out the solder on these holes, just because there was some on the top. Just by kind of filling them up. And we'll use the Chemtronics solder wick to really clean these out on both sides. Okay. Have to do it on both sides, of course. That looks pretty good. Flip it over. I don't want to push too hard when it's on this side and not on the legs. I am sweaty, sweaty, sweaty out here. At least it's not as hot as it was the last couple of days when it was, you know, 100 for 2 days in a row. It's been 90s. It's just been so dang hot. It was only mid 90s today, which yeah, definitely hot for Virginia. So that looks pretty good, I think. Yeah, nice and clean. Another thing we need to do, so this is where the battery goes, obviously. And there's a diode here and a resistor. And this is what controls recharging this old battery. So this is a old NiCad battery right there. That's rechargeable, you know, and so as the game is running, it charges up the battery. And that saves, you know, some of the settings, you know, when the game is off. I think that's the software settings, like game-specific settings. I don't really know. I'm not really super familiar with Neo Geo hardware. There's also this dip switch right here that controls like free play and that sort of thing. But I do appreciate my buddy and channel member, Nick Duong, who is a Neo Geo aficionado, for suggesting that I take care of this you know, potential battery leaking issue before it becomes too late. And I'm just seeing a little bit of flux on the board that I want to clean off just before I put the new battery holder into it. So I'm grabbing a Q-tip and putting some isopropyl alcohol on it. And we'll just clean that up real quick right here. All right, get that nice and clean, and then we can help accelerate the drying process. That looks fine to me. So, but yeah, like I said, that diode and that resistor control the charging circuit, which we don't need anymore. So I'm just going to come in here and straight up remove this resistor. So that's a little 470 ohm, and I'm sweaty. 470 ohm resistor that we just cut out like a couple of savages. And now we can put our new battery holder in. So I got a whole bunch of them, right? Because you can't buy just one. This is a CR 2032 you know, coin cell battery holder. And there's polarity to this. You can see there's a single hole for negative and two holes, two through hole vias for positive, depending on the size of the battery or battery holder that you have. It was designed to work with multiple types. This side is positive, and so the way this battery holder works, The bottom of the battery is positive, and the top and the outside, or the top and the edge is positive. So the middle is negative. So this sort of tab is negative, and this clip on the outside is positive. So we'll just line this up here and pop it in. Okay. So that's good. And I thought it would hold itself in place, but it won't. All right. And then we can come like this. I don't think that's loose, is it? I really want it to be solid against the board, so I'm going to tack this, and hopefully you can see what I'm doing. So by tacking it, that just means I'm going to get some solder on my iron here. Good gob of it. And we'll just come in here and throw some solder quickly on it to hold it in place. And then I can come back and securely solder the other side and come back and redo the first one. So that looks pretty good. Let's just find my multimeter and double check it. So we're on continuity. And this one should go to here. That's fine. That's fine. Where does this one also go? Here? This gunk's in the way. All right, that's good. So, I think we can do this. We can try to bend this cover back. I could probably get some, if I really wanted to, I could get some like double-sided tape. Let me see if I have any of that real quick. Even if I have it, I'm a little worried that, you know, cheap double-sided tape for some reason might be conductive, but I think that'll be fine the way it is. So, let me wipe my hands off real quick. All right, we'll pop in one of these batteries. Again, this is a CR2032 lithium battery, which we shouldn't have to worry about. Actually, yeah, this is lithium. We shouldn't have to really worry about this leaking. All right, got it open. This type does not have the little cover on it. Sometimes you got to watch out. They have these like covers to prevent kids from swallowing them. So there it is, plugged in right like that. We've cut the resistor. So I'm going to go reinstall this back into the cabinet, and then we will fire it up and give it a test. I'm going to do that off camera so I can turn this fan on and cool myself off, because I am sweating like a pig right now, and I'm doing this for you. I hope you appreciate it. Okay, I've got that Neo Geo MVS one slot board reinstalled back into the cabinet, and there you can see the battery mod over there. It'll focus. So, I think we're ready to test this out. I've got it all plugged in, ready to go. So all I need to do is throw the switch, if I can find it. And 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's see what happens. The marquee light is lit, and I hear the startup music. There we go, Neo Geo. And yeah, I haven't adjusted the refresh rate. There we go, Aero Fighters 2. We can start a game. And yeah, that's working. Let's try. There's player 2. So I'd say that's working. So let me go and turn this off. I'll do a longer test later. But the last thing I really need to fix with this cabinet here, again, I'm going to eventually restore this back to a Ballet Sente with a chicken shift cart. But before I can send this to Mark, and he's going to borrow it at back to the Media Arcade in Winchester, Virginia, I need to fix this front kick plate. Couple things going on here. Obviously somebody has kicked in a hole all the way through, you know, clean hole, clean through the front kick plate, which is on a hinge, and the whole thing opens up, you know, because before this was converted to a Neo Geo, it was a Balicente, so you can change the cartridges out. So somebody's put a hole clean through this kick plate, and this coin door is all banged up, and one of the coin slots is covered up, so we want to get that a little bit cleaned up. So what's nice is this is just a piece of particle board, a piece of MDF. Straight piece. It's just you know, almost a square. It's a bit of a rectangle. It's a little taller than it is wide. So I can easily cut this on my table saw. And what I'm going to do is I need to cut the opening here. And I use this as an excuse to finally buy a router. I know I've needed to get one for years. I've been able to make by without it. But we're going to trace the opening here as best as we can with the router and just replace this whole piece of wood rather than trying to, you know, repair it with Bondo and whatever. So this is just on a hinge, and there's a few screws that I should be able to remove here. The cobwebs. All right. Well, before I do that, I should disconnect this coin door. And it's got this ridiculous Sega Gremlin utility panel here. So, all right, coin door is disconnected. And I don't know why this thing is even here for like service switch and test switch. That's not how it was originally. Maybe Balicente didn't have those, and this was added just so you could have one for the Neo Geo. Perhaps the Neo Geo assumes that you have that. So that should be free. Okay, I'm going to put this over on the utility cart, my AV cart, and we'll get the tripod set up. And I'm going to start, you know, stripping this thing. And if you don't mind, I'm going to do it as a bit of a montage with the fan on so I don't sweat to pieces. So let me go and do that. Okay, well, that wasn't so bad. Now I get to sweat again, and it's pouring outside now. We got a big thunderstorm here. So, yeah, I mean, this coin door is kind of beat up. They riveted this piece of, it's like leather covering up one of the coin slots, so I'll have to figure that out. One of these coin chutes, sort of, you know, somebody bent it up, probably trying to get in, thinking the money was up here, and the money goes down. We'll have to fix this latch. And there's one of these bolts is snapped off. There should be one just like this over here to help mount the coin door. See, top and bottom, left and right, and this is missing. So that's why there was that other bolt there, but really wasn't doing anything. So we got to figure out what we're going to do there. We probably don't even need it necessarily. I don't know, bugs are coming. But yeah, we've got some work to do with this coin door. And then with this kick plate, oh, 50 cents, look at that. What does it say? 1993 and 1982, good year right there. All right, that had been jammed in there for years. So yeah, there's the kick plate that we're gonna have to make a copy of. And this is kind of breaking totally right here. So we'll figure out what we need to do for that. Yeah, hopefully the router is the right tool for that job. But, okay, and if we come over here, good news, this Primal Rage is nice and focused. And there we go with the refresh rate correct. Look how nice that looks. Nice and bright and crisp. This has been on for about an hour or so. So yeah, with this thunderstorm coming, I don't want to leave this running and potentially fry something. So I'm going to shut this down and call it a night here. Go watch Brandon Deckard995 on Twitch is about to start streaming after a bit of a hiatus. So I'm going to go watch that. And then we'll come back maybe tomorrow and figure out what we're going to do to route out a piece of particle board to replace that front kick plate on the Bally Sente Neo Geo. Okay, I am set up and ready, I think, to use a router to trace a new hole for the coin door on this new kick plate. So I went and I got a piece of 3/4 inch MDF. The original piece is actually particle board, and I was looking for particle board, but I got MDF just because, you know, it was the only sheet that I could find that was 3/4 inches thick. The particle board was all 1/2 inch or 5/8 or whatever. And the MDF is more expensive, but whatever. I didn't want to go to a bunch of different places. I also cut it to size, so I used my table saw to cut this board down to the size. It's like 28.5 by 23 3/16. You can see that I made a mistake. You know, I did measure 3 times and cut once, but I didn't account for the kerf, so screwed it up, fixed it with Bondo. So filled this cut and filled it with Bondo and sanded it, so it's fine, we'll never see it. And kind of repositioned it and cut it. So this new piece is the exact same size as the original kick plate, which is right here. So I've got these 2 pieces clamped together, and then I've also got it clamped, both of them clamped to my table saw up on the legs, which I'm kind of using as my work surface here. This is my brand new router, using it today for the first time. This is a DW618. This was recommended to me by both Tony Arrowwood and Jeff Kinder, 2 guys that I really respect a lot, especially for cabinet restorations. And if these guys both recommend the same thing, then that's definitely good enough for me. I've got a flush cutting trim bit on this router, which is this right here. It's a Freud. Apparently this is, you know, really good quality. And yeah, this is a flush trim bit. So it's got a little bearing here that'll run around the original material, kind of tracing that, using that as a template and cutting out the new material. Now, originally, my plan was to, because I bought the kit with this router that comes with a plunge setup. So it's got this sort of contraption that you plug the router into and you kind of plunge in, and you use a bit that's actually got teeth here on the tip, and will cut into material and trace around. And I was going to have it so that the template was on top, the old platform, the old kick panel would be on top, and the new one would be underneath, and I would sort of plunge into the new material and then trace, and it would have a bearing sort of at the top of the bit rather than the bottom of the bit. But what I realized was the one that I bought for that would only work on, you know, it's only 1 inch long. So these 2 pieces together, you know, 3/4 of an inch plus 3/4 of an inch is 1.5 inches. So that would have been too thick a material to use that sort of plunge approach. So I'm glad that I got a couple of different bits, including this, you know, flush trim bit. And so essentially, we'll be riding like this, and hopefully you can kind of see what I'm doing, but the bearing will ride on the old material and go like that, and we'll trace along here. And in order to do this though, with the flush trim bit, the template has to be on the bottom. So in order to start and going through the new material, I had to cut a hole. I've seen Jeff Kinder do this, literally cutting coin door holes in front kick plates. So I'll position my router bit in this hole that I cut, and then sort of come over onto the wall, and then we'll go clockwise for an inner cut. So the direction of cutting with a router is apparently really important. I'm learning this all for the first time. If we were doing an outside cut, we'd want to go counterclockwise, but an inside cut goes clockwise. And let me double check that, look at the instructions real quick. Yeah, look at the instructions again. You want to go clockwise for an inside cut or an inner cut, and then counterclockwise for an outside cut. So I think I'm ready to go. The only thing I'm a little bit concerned about is this side here is where the damage to the original piece is. And you can even see that I traced it just to have a visualization of kind of where I'm going to be. And it's kind of messed up, so I'm going to be very kind of sort of gentle. I'm not going to put a lot of force on the outer wall there. And then we'll come around. I'll probably have to stop at this midpoint, reposition the clamps, but we should be good to go. So wish me luck. I've got everything I think measured and aligned, and hopefully, oh, I forgot to, I forgot to plug the darn thing in. And here's the extension cord. All right, and we'll go sort of over here. Okay, wish me luck. This is my first time ever using a router. I did a little bit of practice work, but not a ton. All right, I think we're in the hole. Here we go, turning it on. Oh, my extension cord's not plugged in. Let's make sure that we are off. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay, now we're good to go. So again, let me just make sure I'm aligned in the hole. All right, turning it on. Oh, it's gonna come over. All right, pull it out of there and take a look at what's going on. So our cutting's a little bit rough. I can smooth that out with some sandpaper. I think we'll be okay. If not, you know, the coin door will really, you know, prevent us from ever seeing this being uneven. What I'm going to do at this point is put just a drop of this is 3-in-1 oil. Again, I've seen Jeff Kinder do this. I'm just going to put a drop or two on the bearing, just so that we don't overheat anything. So there we go. And here we go. Let's finish the cut. All right, there we go. Well, hopefully that's okay. Look at all that dust. My goodness, that's a lot of dust. Let's unplug it, and I'll plug my refrigerator back in, because that's where I plugged in the extension cord. And I don't think this was perfect, but I don't think it needs to be, again, because the way this works, the coin door is gonna, you know, cover up any real imperfections, or at least that's my hope. So let's move all these clamps. Yeah, we're still recording, good. I don't want to lose any more footage. All right. All right, so here's our new piece. Again, we've got some imperfections here where the, you know, the old part was broken. And we kind of have a divot here because there's a piece, and I sort of was thinking about what I was gonna do. This is sort of dug in here to allow for, I don't know, this is like a recessed thing for a bolt. We'll figure all that out later, but yeah, so tons of dust here. My goodness, but yeah, that wasn't so bad after all. We got our piece cut, so let me go and dry fit this and see if we're in good shape or not. All right, of course, this is the original piece, obviously, just sort of placed in there to remind you what it looks like. We'll take that out, put that aside, And here is our new piece. Look at that. That looks pretty good. And like I said, I think the coin door should cover up these imperfections nicely. So yeah, need to get the coin door sort of fixed up, and then we'll put some black vinyl on this new piece. Because again, if you look at the original one, this is black vinyl all around. You can see how it's sort of wrapped around. So yeah, let me get that coin door. Let's turn our attention to the coin door, and then we'll put black vinyl on it. We'll put the coin door back in and mount all this back. But so far, you know, not perfect with the router, but again, the template wasn't perfect. The other places, I think we did really, really good. So yeah, let me go ahead and knock that out. Okay, I think I'm ready to apply some vinyl to this new kick plate. Let's see. I sanded it down a little bit, made it nice and smooth. I pre-drilled the holes that I needed to drill. So there's 4 holes that go through all the way through the kick plate that mount the coin door onto it. And there's 2 smaller holes, or actually 4, 2 sets of 2 for the brackets that hold the kick plate closed when you open the whole thing. You know, swings open like a door. And also on the other side, there are holes for the hinge sort of that go halfway through. So I pre-drilled those, and basically I just put the original, you know, back on top and used it as a template and just drilled through. And none too soon, because hopefully you can see this. The original is kind of falling apart now. That hole just totally came apart. So I think we're ready to apply some vinyl. Like I said, wiped it all down. And yeah, so this is the same vinyl that I used for the Primal Rage, which is not cheap. So I'm glad that I'm, you know, getting multiple uses out of this, this roll. And basically I've cut it 3 inches longer than both sides. So I'll have an 1.5 inch overhang that I'll sort of wrap around all 4 sides. So I'm just going to come in here and kind of roughly make sure that the overhang is even. And we should be ready to cut it. Well, actually, well, lay it down. So I'm going to use some clamps to sort of hold this in place. I'm going to do, you know, good maybe foot or so down on this this end, and using my Irwin quick grip clamps, and hopefully I can find a good way to do this. I'm going to use some paper towel just to kind of help ensure that I don't get any unnecessary marring of this vinyl, which is really nice but super thin, and I don't want to mess it up. So come over here. All right. So we'll sort of, this kind of wants to, can I even do it like that? Okay, I switched up my approach a little bit. Those clamps were not going to work. I couldn't roll the vinyl against them. I was getting all bound up, and I even sort of wrinkled the vinyl a little bit, which I'm not happy about. So I shifted the vinyl a little bit that way, so I don't have a ton of overhang on this side anymore. But I think that's okay, because this is going to be the one that's sort of tucked into the hinge, so I think we're good to go. This is my sort of, I don't know, saw guide kind of thing, and I just have it laying on, so it's just a little bit of weight that's holding it there, but I think that should be okay. So I'm going to come up to about there and lay it down like that. Let's get the backing coming off. All right, and again, this vinyl is super thin, super high quality. And I'm sweating because I turned the fan off. It's not quite as hot as it has been though. All right. Okay, that's probably a good amount to start. So I'll trim the backing paper. All right, I don't think I did that particularly straight. So let's do this. Okay. Now with my squeegee, I'm going to start to bring this down. And I'm already flopping over. Fortunately, this is air release vinyl, so any air pockets that we have, we should hopefully, whoop, yeah, something balanced. Something balanced in my garage just tipped over. No big deal. Nobody's hurt, wasn't Teddy. No problem at all. So I'm just coming with this squeegee, getting all the air out. See tiny little imperfections in the material underneath, which is no big deal. Nothing's perfect. Okay. Slide this to down here, and you see there's a little wrinkle right there that I sort of created inadvertently. And I think I'm gonna, instead of doing all the backing paper, I'm gonna kind of do this in thirds. I forget who was telling me, I think one of my channel members, that doing it in thirds is often a good idea. Okay. All right. And tuck it like this. Now, oops, that's not good. Oh, I can get it out. There's a wrinkle right on the transition line. This is curving the wrong way. Oh. Oh, man. Yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to get all that out. But, you know, the OCD in me is just going to have to live with it. And I know you can't quite see what I'm doing. And I'm sorry about that. Oh, man. I'm going to work those wrinkles with the squeegee and see what I can do about them. Not super thrilled, though, right now. Okay. Let's do, come on. Let's do that. Okay, bend, yeah, bend this way. And I am starting to sweat. Apologies if it looks gross. I'm only human. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Find somewhere to put this. Oh, man. Oh. So I think we're pretty good. I think I got all the major wrinkles and imperfections out. This vinyl is very forgiving, so I really like that. And again, this is the stuff that Jeff Kinder put me onto. So let's see. I think what I want to do first is cut out the hole for the coin door. So I have a hobby blade, X-Acto knife, brand new blade, and we will, let's see, start like this and just follow the shape. We don't have to wrap this side around because the coin door will cover up the edge here. So just trace this as best as we can. There we go. It's pretty good. There's a couple little spots where there's a bit of an overhang, but I think that's fine. Like I said, the coin door will cover up most of that. And now for the corners, I'm going to kind of cut the, we'll go like this actually. Okay. And hopefully you can still see what I'm doing here. The corners we're going to cut away from the edge, and then we'll sort of wrap it underneath. So this is what I mean. I'm going to kind of find the corner and come like this. Same thing over here. And we'll come down and use our squeegee to really wrap this edge. There we go. And then we'll tuck it underneath. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Hopefully you could see most of what I was doing. Whew, I'm sweaty, so I'm gonna take a little break and then we'll get the coin door mounted and we'll put this whole thing back on the cabinet. Okay, cooled off a little bit, and I did wipe down the vinyl with a piece of paper towel, which helps highlight the pre-drilled holes. So I can come through here with an awl and poke a hole through the vinyl just to make it easier to get the screw or bolt or carriage bolt or whatever through. And yeah, rubbing it with a paper towel helps make it a bit more visible so you're not fishing around for those holes or trying to come from, you know, the other side. So let's come over to the cabinet because I think I want to mount this kick plate on the cabinet before I install the coin door itself. So still figuring out this. There we go, this new tripod. But let's see, maybe like that. Okay. And I've got the screws. Okay. So we'll come in here and yeah, just so you can see how I wrapped it around. You know, the vinyl wraps around, so that's pretty good. And let's see. This is, of course, going to be tricky. Let me put the screws on the table right here. And bugs are out like crazy tonight. I'm sorry if my head's in the way. We'll line it up. And we've got pilot holes sort of line up everything. Oh man. I feel like my head is really going to be in the way on this, but there's no getting around it. Okay, I've got a couple screws just barely grabbing into the pilot holes, and that's helping me kind of guide it into place. All right, I'm going to grab something a little bit stronger than my weak little screwdriver. All right, let's see if this will, whoops, do the trick here. And a lot of this metal is all really kind of bent up. Somebody really was trying to get into this thing at some point. There we go. All right, that's good. And then there are supposed to be screws in the top. I think I have to take, geez, I gotta take, hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I gotta take this out in order to get it. Oh, I don't like that at all. Okay, so here's what I'm talking about. There's a screw hole here, going to the bottom. So let me go and mount those real quick. Okay, I got it. It was a bit of a pain, but I got it. Okay, and it opens and closes, so that's good. That's a very good sign. So I'm going to come in here with a coin door and try to align this. And let's see. Okay, what is going on here? Don't want to mark up all this. There's the bottom. There's the top. And it's just a little. Okay, I'm having a little bit of an issue aligning the coin door. And I think it's because this hole is a little bit too far to the middle. It needs to come out to the outside a little bit. So I'm just going to extend it. All right, hopefully that should be enough. Let's see. You know, because my my measurements must have been off just a tiny bit because that, you know, of the damage. But hopefully this does the trick. Now I think I need a little bit more still. Now I'm kicking all the bolts that I need. Okay, that required a ton of coaxing, but it's in there now. It's fine. I think we're good to go. Another problem is, so, you know, I think this drill hole was a little bit off because I was following the original, which was damaged. And this coin door, especially the frame, is a bit bent up. And I haven't done a full restoration yet. I kind of just pounded it out a little bit with a mallet. So I think we're good to go for now. And I want to come in here and install our brackets for latching the whole thing closed. Okay, I got the latches on, so should be able to now, if it wants to cooperate, close and latch the, come on. All right, that one's lined. And where is it? There we go. So that's latched. Nice. And the last thing to do, I need to open it up again. The last thing we need to do is, come on. You know, this cabinet is kind of knocked up a little bit. There's separation down there. So when I get this back from Mark's Arcade back to the media, I'll do some work to kind of fix this cabinet. Like I said, there's some separation down there. So a lot of things aren't aligned, but the last thing to install here is the little cage that holds the coin bucket. Now, I don't even think I have the coin bucket, but I'm not going to let that stop me. So, come on. There we go. All right, we've got our pilot holes drilled. It's late. I'm losing my mind. It's good stuff. Good times in the garage. All right, there we go. Now I can come here and reattach this sort of hacked up wiring. And we'll put it right into that loop. And there we go. We'll latch it. Oh my God. Oh, it's tight. Oh, it's... There we go. Okay. And this, there we go. How does that look? How does that look? Oh, that was a ton of work. So like I said, this coin door still isn't fully restored. It's got that sort of leather patch over one of the coin slots, which is fine because Mark's Arcade is free play. But we replaced a whole kick plate. It's good. I'm gonna have to strip this coin door and repaint it. And there's some extra holes in it. And one of the mounting bolts is broken off. So there's only 3 really holding it on. But it's there. It opens and closes. It actually looks really kind of good if I don't say so myself. So anyway, I think we're good. I'll double check the leg levelers, but other than that, this Neo Geo 1 slot in the Bally Sente SAC 1B cabinet is ready to go back to the Media Arcade. And look at that. I'm proud of that. Okay, back with the Primal Rage. As you can see, I've got the cabinet up in my truck. All 4 leg levelers are missing and the plates and everything, so we're going to install new ones before Mark gets this game. And you know, typically I like to do this when I first pick up the game. You know, when I'm bringing it home before I get it off the truck. You know, while it's on the truck, it's nice and easy to work with, but I didn't have any, and yeah, so we're good. So this is just a nice, you know, sheet of plywood on the bottom. It's already pre-drilled. You know, the plates that I've got, and I get my leg levelers and stuff from Arcade Adventures. You know, it's a little bit bigger than the hole pattern. So what I'm going to do is grab one of these leg levelers, and I got the shorter length ones because, you know, we don't have a ton of depth. You know, usually with a cabinet you can have like a 4-inch one that goes deep into the cabinet, but because of this, the way this sort of toe is positioned, it's not particularly easy to work with. There's not enough depth really to work with, so we'll just get it lined up like this. And maybe I can reuse a couple of these holes, and the other ones are going to have to be drilled. So got some screws here, and I'm a little bit worried about, I wish I had done this, you know, when the cabinet was first on the truck, or at least when, you know, before I put the side art on, because I got to blank it down. I'm just worried about messing up the side art. So here we go, we'll line it up, and this doesn't need to be perfect. And let's see, we'll go like this, and we'll, oops. I'm trying to work fast because it's about to rain and I don't want to deal with that. You can hear some of the thunder coming. So we're going to go backwards to kind of help set the screw. That's fine. Same thing over here. Here we go, last one. Wind chimes are going nuts. So there we go. So I'm going to do the other 3. We'll get it off the truck in the garage, and we'll continue moving on. All right, the last couple of finishing touches on the Primal Rage are in the coin door. And yeah, I already went ahead and put that extra little strip of T-molding kind of in the lower part of the toe of the cabinet. But a couple things we need to do here in the coin door. One is we need to put new locks in. Mark might end up, replacing all the locks with his own, but I like to send locks. I don't like cabinets leaving with doors, flopping around. So we'll put some new locks in. Got these from Arcade Adventures, just like the leg levelers. So there's really not much to this. The coin door is sort of slotted. It's not a perfect circle. The tops and bottoms are flat, which kind of matches the shape of the lock barrel here. And you just kind of slide it in here like this. There are different lengths, and I usually try to match up what the previous one was. And if this doesn't fit, I've got other sizes. So if you're mounting it into a back door, you often need to use this sort of washer that has these teeth to kind of grab into the wood. But because we're installing this on a coin door, we don't need that. We've got this. I guess this is like a pal nut that will hold the lock barrel against the coin door. So we'll slide this on and hand thread it on. Okay, and then we can snug it up with some channel locks. I can get in there. Sometimes it's a little tight quarters. Okay, that's good. And, all right, good enough. Then we'll get I forget what this is called. This is the piece that actually engages, and let me check and make sure. All right, that's unlocked. That's locked, and this is unlocked. So that's locked, okay. All right. And screwdriver to snug that up. All right. So there's our functioning lock. And if it's a little loose like that, there's a couple things you can do. There's other sort of, I don't know, clasp or what these are. You can kind of bend them. You can get one that's sort of pre-bent. So let me see if I have one of those real quick that I can swap in. Okay, so in my giant stockpile of spare parts, I have this unbelievably heavy bag of locks and parts and all different things like that, including a baggie of cams. I think that's what these are called, cams. So a lot of these are pre-bent. They're kind of different sort of orientations. I tried a couple out, like this one was sort of really bent. And this one, not too big, sort of seems to do the trick. So I can open and close it like that. Close it, and yeah, just a little bit of wiggle right there. I know some people will go kind of, a little bit overboard in my opinion and try to make it super snug, but I think that's pretty good. So the last thing I need to do with this coin door is address this bulb that's just sort of dangling like this. The bulb holder is this weird design. It's a plastic piece that kind of clips on, and this clip breaks really easily. So I have a replacement one here with a non-broken clip, if you can see. This also came from Arcade Adventures, so I think all I need to do is disconnect these quick connect wires, blue on top, green on bottom, although I don't think that really makes a difference. And we'll slide this on like that. Okay, here we go. That's in all the way, and that's in all the way. And we'll put our, I think this bulb is still good. We'll find out in a minute when we fire all these up. Come on. Nope, that bulb is burnt out. And in fact, I don't actually have any of the original style. I bought some LEDs, because I figure if these are going to be on, you know, all the time at Mark's Arcade, I might as well put in some good ones. So we'll go like this. I think that's in, yeah. All right, and we will pop this on, hopefully without busting it. There we go. Okay, and to make them match, of course, I'm going to want to replace this one as well. So pop this one out. Come on. Here we go. And this one is, oh, that one's burnt out too. So it's a good thing we're replacing these, and they go vertical. Okay. There we go. This old socket is much tighter than the new one. And again, try to do this without breaking it. Great. Okay, cool. So there's a new lamp holder and 2 new LED lights. So this coin door should be nice and bright when we fire everything up. And I believe with that, this Primal Rage is completely done. Okay, there's a couple things I want to do to the Sly Spy before it leaves. One thing is with the monitor. So I've always had an issue where the height of this has always been too high. Yeah, my hands are dirty. If you notice when it gets to, maybe it's not going to show it, the play screen. Okay, let's get back past George and Barbara. Okay, you see how the screen is too tall? Like the top here, like Golden Gun, is almost cut off at the top, and the weapon select is absolutely cut off at the bottom. And that's with the height maxed out. If I come back here and adjust the vertical size and turn it down, you see that's actually turning it up. All right, that's maxed out, and so it's way too tall now. And if I come back all the way on vertical size, back down to the absolute minimum, it's still too tall. So I've been talking to Mike from Mike's Amateur Arcade Monitor Repair, and he's dealt with this before, so he had a suggestion to try. So let me get this chassis out of the cabinet onto the workbench, and we'll take a look at something we can try. Okay, with this chassis out and on the workbench, there's a couple of things I'm noticing right off the bat. And again, this is a K7000 P447 chassis for a 19-inch K7000. So I noticed this thing is absolutely filthy. The flyback in particular is caked in filth. And these are the original caps. I haven't recapped this, so perhaps what I'll do, before I give this to Mark, I'll give it a bath and a cap kit, but that's not what I'm focused on right now. What I'm focused on right now is this resistor right here, R80. It's supposed to be a 5.6 ohm resistor, and apparently this resistor controls or is part of the circuit that controls the height. And if it gets out of spec, it can make things too tall or too short. So got my multimeter here. I'll put it on ohms, and we're looking for 5.6. So come in like this, and we've got, okay, come on. If you can see, we've got 5.5. So that should be okay. And again, I was talking to Mike, and he was saying, because he's done a video, I'll put a link in the video description down below, of where somebody had put the wrong value in that spot, and it was way too tall. It was the value is too low. The resistance, my hands are filthy. The resistance was too low, so the image got way too tall. And even though this is the correct value, my image is still way too tall. So Mike is suggesting putting in a higher value resistor and see if that helps. So it's got a 5.6 ohm resistor in there. So we're going to try going up It's a 1/2 watt resistor. So I got this multi pack of, 1,300 resistors. And it's got, man, my hands are filthy from this chassis. It's got 5.6 right here, but we're gonna go up to 6.2. So through the magic of television, I've already dug through this whole thing and found our 6.2 ohm resistors. We'll pull one off here. And I'm gonna go ahead and install this 6.2 ohm, if it'll focus. There we go. This 6.2 ohm resistor, and I'll put the whole thing back in the chassis, and hopefully we'll get rid of our vertical size issue. All right, I've got that new resistor installed at R80 on the K7000 chassis. Everything's plugged back in. It's back into the monitor in the cabinet, and I think we're ready to go. So again, that vertical size pot is turned all the way down, so we should expect it to be a very short height, and we can adjust it. So hopefully everything works. So here we go. We're all plugged in, ready to go. 3, 2, 1. Is anything happening? Here we go. Look at that. All right. While I was in there, I also adjusted the horizontal width coil, and we might have some width issues too. Now it's way too wide, and I thought I was shrinking it. Let's see, but this has definitely fixed our height issue. I gotta keep coming around because I don't have my Dell's Arcade mirror. It's a little bit too tall now. Let's come back a little bit. Do we have fold over? I don't know. We're good though on the height issue, but yeah, okay. So yeah, let me tinker with the width a little bit, but I think this fix worked. So, oh, look at that. Yeah, way too wide. So that's another thing off of the, maybe I do need to cap this thing, off of the checklist. All right, I played with the adjustment pots a little bit, and I think we're probably pretty good with the monitor. You know, I do think I will want to install a cap kit on this thing. I'm gonna do that off camera because, you know, this video is already way too long, and I've got another K7000 repair video coming up soon, so I'm not gonna worry about that today. Yeah, the width is still a little bit too wide, but we'll get that all sorted out. And you see that sort of distortion as the character sort of comes up. Yeah, so I think a cap kit will probably fix those remaining issues. So one last thing that I want to fix with this Sly Spy here is this problem. Watch what happens when I hit the Player One Start button. Nothing. Nothing at all. I've got to actually coin this thing up in order to start it. Let me do that real quick. There we go. We got a credit on.
Welcome.
And then, yeah. Because unfortunately, Sly Spy does not have built-in free play. There is not a dip switch setting or anything like that where you can, you know, set it to free play. You've got to put coins in this thing, right? So that's not going to work for Mark's Arcade at Back to the Media. This is going to be a free play arcade. You pay to get in, you know, some amount for an hour or for a whole day or whatever, and unlimited access to all these games. So we've got to figure out some sort of free play solution when there isn't one built in. A couple different ways to do it. You can drill a hole into the cabinet and install a credit button, but we're not going to do that. That's way too uncivilized. We're not going to destroy, you know, a beautiful game like this by drilling, and this thing is too loud. We're not going to drill a hole to install a free play button. There's a couple of techniques you can, you know, there's things where you can sort of add non-destructive buttons, you know, different ways of doing that. But even that, you know, is a little bit cumbersome. Sometimes people don't know what to do, right? If every other game you just walk up and you hit the start button, yeah, how do you expect them to sort of figure out? Some places even leave the coin doors unlocked and expect people to reach in and, you know, manually hit the credit switch to coin it up. So there's another solution, and what we're going to use is this little sucker right here. So if you can see this, if it will focus, there we go. So this is the coin up from onecircuit.com, and this is actually, if you ever used to watch John's Arcade, it's Adam from John's Arcade, also from One Circuit. He's got a YouTube channel called One Circuit, frequent guest on John's Arcade. And this is a little clever device that Adam created. So basically what this does is it listens and watches for the you know, 1-player and 2-player start buttons, and when it sees that button press, it triggers the credit switch, and then it triggers the start button. It'll work for 1 player, it'll work for 2 players. If you hit the 2-player button, it'll hit the credit switch twice, and then hit the 2-player start button. It also offers options. Adam has versions of this for 4-player games and for 6-player games like X-Men. So this little device right here is going to do the trick. There's a little dip switch bank right here for, you know, if you need to sort of change the settings, you can turn it on and off. And I think you can, I don't know, increase the number of credits or that sort of thing. There's a little micro chip that sort of handles the logic. There's some hidden components on the backside. And then, you know, basically the wires go in here, and there's a non-destructive way to install this. So why don't I go ahead and wire this thing up, and then I'll show you how that, you know, what that installation looks like, and I'll show you how it works. Okay, I've got Adam's Coin Up 2-Up from onecircuit.com installed, and everything is good now. Admittedly, this is very easy. I kind of screwed it up. I didn't have enough quick connects. So things are a little bit janky right now, and the 2-player button isn't quite installed. But basically, yeah. So here's what the wiring looks like. So I've got a ground, I've got the 1-player start button, and I've got the credit switch installed. Like I said, I don't have the player 2 start installed. And there technically is another you know, terminal for a 5-volt line, but most games it'll draw power from the pull-up resistors. And in this case, I didn't need the 5-volt line, which is great. So if we come down here to the coin door itself, we'll start here. So I've got tied into this credit switch right here. I've got a quick connect going to the signal line, and then coming to this basically splitter wire that plugs into the original credit switch wire, and then another red wire goes through into the cabinet up into the Coin Up 2-Up. Similarly, I've got this sort of splitter cable going into the ground because I tied into the ground of the credit switch. And again, this the original ground plugs into, you know, this quick connect, and then that black line goes up and around. And we come up here, and this is basically like a Dynamo HS2, the way this cabinet works. So we see where the credit switch and the ground wire connect to the Coin Up 2-Up, and then this orange wire is the player 1 start button. So similarly, this is the original wire that would have gone to the player 1 start button, and I didn't have enough quick connects, and I screwed up a couple of crimps, so I'm going to have to go to the store tomorrow, Ace Hardware, and grab a couple more. But basically, this is the idea. So there would be a quick connect here that would plug into this quick connect and splits it off. So one wire goes to the switch for the player 1 start, and the other wire goes to the Coin Up 2-Up. And it works, so watch this. So we'll step back, and we'll change the refresh rate again. Okay, hopefully you should be able to see it from this angle. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the player 1 start button once, and you're going to hear it coin up. And then without pressing the button again, it'll start a game. So there will be a little bit of a pause before it pulses the player 1 start button. So here we go, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome.
There we go. And I'm going to have to hit the button a couple times just to enter my code name. And there we go. Simulated free play, no problem at all. We did it. And yeah, I know. I'll go back and I'll fix the rest of this wiring. We'll get it all squared away before this goes back to the media arcade. But yeah, that's basically it. And if we pan back here, we can see that we've actually got all 5 games ready to go. We've got the Neo Geo 1 slot in the converted Balicente SAC 1B cabinet. And what did we do to this? We did a cap kit, which you didn't see. We did the battery mod just in the nick of time as that battery was just starting to leak. And we built a whole new front kick plate, cut a coin door hole. And yeah, that's looking great. The Primal Rage needed a new flyback. It needed leg levelers, it needed locks and new coin door lights, and now that one is mint, really awesome, ready to go. Superman was ready to go from the start. Got that working a while back. The class of 81 that I brought home from work, that's ready to go too. That's been kicking for a couple of years now at the office. No, I think about 18 months in the office, no problem, ready to go. It's super loud. I had it turned down for my colleagues. To not distract them. And the Sly Spy, what did we do to this thing? We fixed the height issue on the monitor, and we installed that coin up, 2-up to enable free play. And yeah, now that one's good to go too, although there is a couple last things I'm gonna do to fix it up. But my goodness, are we doing well here? And man, this video is super late. It is after midnight Saturday night, which means it's already Sunday morning. So I kind of blew it. I kind of blew it with members only early access. I try to get these videos out to channel members early on Saturdays so they can enjoy them before the general public. But that's okay, not the end of the world. Very forgiving audience, and I'm sure they'll understand. And wow, I am exhausted. I'm delirious. I hope you appreciate what I'm doing for you all. So yeah, these games are ready to go to Back to the Media in Winchester, Virginia. Back to the Media Arcade opening up soon, owned by my friends Mark and his wife Danny. Really awesome folks. So yeah, you'll be able to play all 5 of these games very soon. Primal Rage Mark bought, so this is going to be a permanent part of the Back to the Media Arcade lineup. So that'll be really cool. Wow, Galaga is loud. The Neo Geo in the Balicente SAC 1B. That is a limited engagement. Mark is borrowing this. In another month or 2 or 3 or whatever, I'll bring it back, take it home. He'll replace it with something else really cool, I'm sure, in the lineup, and I'll restore this back to a Balicente chicken shift. But these other 3 right here, the Taito Superman and a Dynamo HS7, the dedicated Data East Sly Spy, and the Class of 81 combination, Ms. Pac-Man and Galaga, I think I'm going to sell these things. I can't remember if I've talked to Mark about this, but I kind of want to put price tags on these, and so I won't be disappointed if I don't ever see them again. Of course, I do have a Ms. Pac-Man, so I will be able to play that without the Class of 81. Sly Spy is not a game that I'm in love with. It is cool that this cabinet is essentially a Dynamo HS2, but this is technically a dedicated Sly Spy, so I wouldn't want to repurpose it for something else. I'm sure someone out there really likes this game. And then the Taito Superman. Again, Taito Superman is not an awesome game, but this is a really cool cabinet. Dynamo HS7, very uncommon. Flat top, great for storage. The control panel flips open and the tray comes out. The PCB is on it, so it's very easy to swap JAMA PCBs in and out. And I've been using this for over a year now. This cabinet has been my JAMA test rig. So I'm sort of sad to see it go, but I've got another solution cooking for that coming soon. So we'll talk about that in a future episode. But yeah, Primal Rage, playing anytime you want it. Back to the Media, the Neo Geo in the Sente cabinet, limited engagement. And if you're interested in buying one or all 3 of these games, I think we'll work out something with Mark where they'll be for sale in his shop. And oh, I am exhausted. I need to go to bed. I also need to edit this video, so hopefully it's not even late for the normal Sunday release. But yeah, guys, if you like this video, please hit that like button. It really helps me out. It tells YouTube to recommend this video to people like you, and it helps spread the word and helps grow this channel. So if there's nothing else you do, please, please, please help me out and hit that like button. If you've never subscribed, now's a great time to do it. I release videos every Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern, unless they're behind. And this one, oh, Gallagher, you're so loud. This one actually might be a little bit late, I'm sorry to say. And if you really like what we're doing here, consider becoming a channel member. Hit that join button down below to learn more about what it means. Basically, you donate $1.99 a month. You get to support your favorite YouTube channel, and you also get access to some really cool perks. We have a monthly members-only live stream, and our July one is coming up very soon. You get early access to all new videos, except, 5% of the time, I would say, maybe 10% of the time, that's late. Usually you get to see them a whole 24 hours in advance. Sometimes not. Sometimes I screw up. I'm only human. Try to make it up to folks, though. And you also get access to our private members-only Discord, which is super active, a lot of fun. We got a great group of channel members talking about what they're working on, playing and collecting, helping each other. It's really, really great. And if you don't want to become a channel member, I totally get it. It's a recurring payment. With all the subscriptions we have these days, I know it gets to be a lot. You can make a one-time donation by leaving a super thanks down below. It's basically like a super chat, except not on a live stream. You can pay a couple bucks to have your comment highlighted, and I will be sure to give you a very fulsome response. Or you can buy some merch. I have a merchandise shop with t-shirts and hats and mugs and mouse pads and hoodies and that kind of stuff. I know a bunch of people were at the Southern Fried Gaming Expo wearing some of my t-shirts, and they were taking pictures of themselves hanging out and sending them to me, so that was a lot of fun. But do all the things that YouTube wants you to do. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all the things. And I need to go to bed. I need to get up early, edit this video, and try to get it out before the 3 p.m. public release. So yeah, I think that's going to do it for this episode. As always, thanks for watching Overtime Arcade. I'm Charlie, and I'll see you next time.
Overtime!